musician is the document, an oral transcription of experience and perception through the vantage point of self. And if music is the message for the Negro, the music is the black critique. It's our tool to analyze the ignorance behind the face of the malignant genius, the depth behind a blurred perception, and the rhythm of the enigma. This minstrel dance took centuries to develop, but its creation exposes the prodigious clockwork behind racism and hate in Western society. Have we learned anything? Do we know who we are and where we belong? Does our skin reasonably elicit fear and negative judgment? Can we uniformly agree that my culture is far from uniform? If my blackness is a costume fabricated by stereotypes, what symbolizes my true identity?
Eugenically speaking, the blacks are less evolved creatures and therefore not subject to humane treatment.
We've been given an ever-changing bag of duplicitous euphemisms to choose from. But do they really define me? Under the presumption that my blackness has no color, and under the belief that we are the nameless heroes of America, I present to you the document.
Revisionist History 101.
I am an evolving term that we can't agree on. A multitude of colors some can't quite process. A porch monkey that arrived as a jungle bunny. A boy, even though I was never a pickaninny. I am the sound of America, the dissonance they created. I am a black American, colored by America's ineptitude. I am an African American, struggling with my allegiance to the motherland. I am an evolving light, living under the shade of our ancestors. I am your American Negro.
Worry
No matter the pejorative of choice, we are black. Unlike the tar they used on their faces to reinforce a stereotype, their stereos don't like. And I say this because I am of sound mind, and the sounds that reverberate in my mind are never confused by the volume of misinformation programming the minds of America. Black people, listen to your own music, as soul is the connection to our ancestors, a language of tonal tensions, teaching an audience it was never intended for.
People are listening, and we are lacking leadership.
Who are we going to listen to? What are we going to feed our own news cycle? It's our job to read the duplicity behind the words, but it's hard to understand a language we can't speak. We don't even have a nationally recognized forum to broadcast. All we see are the bulletins that highlight the codes, generating the sectarian DNA strain found in all racists. The only channel we ever had is our art, as long as we finance it. It's essential that we amplify the broadcast to eradicate the ignorance empowering the world. You are tuned into the Black Consciousness, a broadcast amplified by the struggle, a frequency syncopated in sound. You are tuned into the Black Consciousness, a light transmission with a mission, a dark image on black and white static. You are tuned into the Black Consciousness. Don't adjust your antenna, this is channel me. You are tuned into the Black Consciousness, a forecast from the past with the image-verse identity drama live on simulcast.
Double consciousness, the psychological challenge we face as we look at ourselves through the eyes of a racist society.
Image versus identity is the conundrum. It's further perplexed by the fact that we can't even agree on our name. As a black father, I fight with my 5-year-old daughter as she says, "We are brown and they are pink." And in her defense, she views the world with a virgin optic, as I view the world through this stained glass of history that questions whether I'm even human.
intransigence of the blind is by election, barring them from seeing the history, sadistically plaguing people of color. Can you see what I'm saying?
Do you see that black people are lynched around the country by officers hired to serve and protect the wealth and power of colonized Europeans? I am the descendant of the chattel, and I am your brother. We are descendants of the motherland, as every human shares the same African mother, mitochondrial Eve. We have the choice to win, but participation, self-investment, and understanding is vital to the race. Before we became
20 and odd Negroes,
we loved each other. I still love you. Children, are you listening?
James Mincy Jr.
As the lighter hue struggles for the best tan, those of a darker complexion spend billions of dollars on skin bleaching cream. Essentially, there is an untold amount of irreparable damage that white imperialism has made against the confidence of people of color. A vast enigma that reaffirms the notion that skin color indicates or prescribes one's human value, a value cut in half if you are a woman, especially a black woman. The underprivileged that are vital, the disadvantaged without a title.
15 mulattoes. The Black Queen, Margaret Garner.
My black baby, dark and lovely, your skin divine. God has made you shine, so glisten for the world. And smile, my baby girl, sparkle like your hair, the beauty that we share. My black baby, love yourself for me. Let yourself be free. It's our destiny. My black baby, will you forgive me? Let me set you free. Let us both be.
Race is a social construct with no biological truth, a fallacy pioneered by immigrating Europeans at the dawn of America. Essentially, the colonists pioneered racism to stratify a new class structure so that people of color could be exploited under the doctrine of manifest destiny. This principle created a monopoly with other imperial nations to control and exploit African cargo.
Transatlantic slave trade.
Now think about this. The bedrock of Western society is built with the blood of African cargo, fermenting ever so slowly in the absence of oxygen. I can't breathe is a volatilization of the seething energy escaping their last breath, the exclamation of discarded cargo at sea, the zong. A transatlantic reminder of our weight and buoyancy in a sunken place.
Othello.
But as we rise, the pendulum of progress is always balanced with regression, a place of perpetual hell we are forced to deal with, but never accept. Without the participation of young people, we lose speed, and that's why we are losing this race. We must accept that race is a fallacy promulgated under the guise of freedom, an overdetermined euphemism employed to mask a nefarious enigma. Let us not become ensnared by the machinations of patriotism, as the blind patriot is emboldened by a constitutional Bible that wasn't created for me. I say this all to say, we can win, but winning is a determined choice.
The voice of history speaks louder than silence.
Because the language of the unheard is insurrection. And any examination of black music is an examination of the relationship between black and white America. We are in the streets, and if they ask you to remain silent, what is your role in the face of oppression? This message is being recorded.
The paradox of the positive. We've been marching for years, but haven't moved an inch.
We walk the ground.
Ignorance is an intricately woven fabric of colors, dyed to create the illusion of purity, the result of an evil enigma manifested to create certain conditions we must eliminate. A bifurcated society, firewall to protect the political wealth and power of white imperialism against the insurrection of the oppressed. This system has ruined the lives of Black Americans for centuries, confounding a myriad of principles that should protect its citizenry. However, the rule of law was never intended to equate citizenship to former slaves, illustrating the malignant ideology that is germane to the paradox. All lives matter. America pretends to be blind with complacency and hides behind the shadows of the past. But our past is sanitized through the textbooks, creating the illusion that the remnants of racial injustice have perished.
Revisionist History 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. 12 of the first 18 presidents were enslavers.
The vestige of the black codes are so clear, but only to an audience that understands the minstrel dance of Jim Crow, a dance that emanated from the slave code. The soul of our ancestors lived within and exposed the rhythms of Jim Crow. We recognize the dance when the dance is a little offbeat, when the style makes no sense. But to a group of people that benefit from buffoonery, America was never off. They claim my syncopation is the cause of our imprisonment, our welfare, our sullen countenance, everything that is wrong with America. They argue that we should look at the stats to better understand our circumstances. But statistics are records, and you can't really listen to records that are cracked because the music skips. But go ahead, keep dancing. But understand that broken records will never illustrate the insurmountable handicaps that hinder people of color.
Abraham Lincoln did not care about black people. George Stinney Jr.
Solving the questions posed by the shadows of malevolent stereotypes is a mystery we've already solved. We understand where it comes from, but it's hard to ascertain why it still persists. How is it that we are molded at the seed, blooming black leaves as we bleed?
Image versus identity.
We are a stereotypical imprint the moment we are born. We are immediately targeted by sullen countenance. White is defined as pure, holy, and the opposite of black. Science states that black is the absence of light, and color is a phenomenon of light. However, a black object or black images printed on white paper are made from pigment, not light. This means that artists must use their darkest color of paint to approximate black stereotypes in order to further criminalize the Negro. If I told you that America is the artist, would you still define me as being black?
History is a weapon.
Sadly, this album will never be out of date, but I know the universal language of sound will reverberate beyond my years. Listen closely. Raise your children to love like children. Embrace humanity, regardless of hue. Be the best version of yourself, because there is nobody that's better at being you than you. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable in the movement, as the moment is fleeting. Know that fear causes trauma to the brain, resulting in the paralysis of the mind, body, and soul. The antidote is understanding, and the mission is to remain standing beyond our own mortality. A message from the American Negro.